into the room here. We are in Uptown Charlotte at the Westin. We are on the homeward half of the first day of Kickoff 2018. We will welcome Alec Buchser up to the podium. We'll spend about 7 minutes with our offensive student athlete. Then we will switch places, and Oluwaseun Idowu will be on with us for 7 minutes, and then we'll have Coach Narduzzi for the final 15. We'll conclude with Pitt at about 3:15. Gentlemen, we got microphones out and about in the room. We will pass the sticks around, and we'll see if we can get our first question up and rolling for Pitt and with Alex. So our first question. Alex, I will ask it here from the podium. You're sort of the old guy in the group now. So what have you learned in your years of playing football? How are you different now than you might have been when you were 18?
You know, tremendous difference in everything that I do and how I carry myself and how I come to work every day. And, you know, as the old guy, I've kind of had to embrace the leadership role. And you learn quickly that different people learn in different ways, and guys take coaching in drastically different ways. And something that might have worked for me growing up isn't going to work for everybody. And so I've kind of had to realize that everybody plays the game, goes about the game, and learns the game in their own different way. And that's something as a leader I've had to really realize and adjust to.
Immediately here to my left.
WakeUpCallDT.com. Alex, one of two returning starters on the offensive line. Just what you can say about other guys you're expecting to step up on the line with you, and what you could say about that unit going into this year.
Yeah, as of now, you know, through the spring, we've had next to me at right guard, we've had Mike Herndon playing. He's a guy who's seen some time in games. A close friend of mine, somebody who, you know, if he maybe at a different school he would be starting, but because we have had such depth at offensive line, he's kind of had to wait around. And he's played a part on offense and on defense. He's a guy who's just a big team guy, contributes any way he can. It should be awesome to get to see him, you know, have his moment. And on the other side, at the other guard is another guy similar to Mike, Connor Dentino. He's had a lot of, you know, role-playing chances. He's played some fullback. He's gone between offense and defense as well. They're both guys that, you know, have really been itching to play, and it's going to be exciting to see them get their opportunity.
Still to your right in the second row.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com, Alex. So you guys are somewhat low in terms of returning career starts in the offensive line, but I sense that you're not too worried about that. What are the biggest factors, really not just for offensive line, but for a football team in determining, you know, beyond experience, beyond technical games started, what are the factors that determine whether you ultimately succeed?
You know, as a collective team, everyone buying into the same idea. You know, you can have anybody you want, but if it's an individual effort, you know, you can fall to lesser teams. The big thing for us is to all buy into the same idea, and, you know, once we are all together, there shouldn't be anybody we can lose to, because as we've proved over the last few years, when we really want to succeed and we're 100% bought into each other, into the game plan, we can be just about anybody in the country. So now it's about us harnessing that ability and really, you know, coming out every Saturday and proving that to the entire country.
Alex, just right here to your left.
Tony DeFazio, Pittsburgh Sports Report. Alex, you've got a returning starter at quarterback who I think has just one start under his belt. But can you talk about how Kenny's responded as a leader and how he's you know, leading the offense despite his limited experience?
Yeah, you would think that Kenny's been in Oakland for probably 4 years. The way he walks around campus, the way he acts, the way he presents himself, the way he goes about his work. You know, watching film, comes with a playbook. I mean, the guy is a pro. He's been a pro since he stepped foot on campus, and it's been awesome to have a guy like him in the locker room. To, you know, kick people in the butt when they need it. You know, be that guy. And as a senior leader, it's awesome to have a younger guy really embrace that role. He's not, you know, one of the younger quarterbacks who say, I'm not a senior, I'm not supposed to be the leader of this offense. He knows that he's taking the reins, and this is his offense, and he's embracing it, and it's been awesome to see.
Alex, back to your right, third row here.
Hey, Alex. Adam Powell, the Women Post. And I want to ask you about Darren Hall. Came on strong last season. What's his offseason been like, and what are you sort of expecting to see out of him this year?
He is a physical specimen. He is one of the, watching him work out every day is amazing. Guy comes to work. It's like you can't find a way to make him show sign of weakness. And whenever he comes into the game, big play potential goes through the roof. It's awesome to have him running behind us.
Alex, last year the offensive unit gave up 31 sacks. We were obviously talking about new personnel at the line this year. There's a fine balance in getting better, getting people acclimated so that number comes down. What does the fall ball look like to be able to help that stat get lower?
That's something that falls completely on us. We've had a new offensive line coach come in. We do some things differently. But what it really comes down to is we didn't take the same kind of pride in our work that we did the year before. The year before last, I think we gave up 9 sacks in the regular season. And we really couldn't find that same kind of, for whatever reason, that same kind of success. But we know that it's a possibility, and we know that we can do that. It's just revisiting that, how were we able to do that? And, we know as a team that that's a possibility for us. And protecting Kenny is going to be huge for us this year. So hopefully that's going to be one of our biggest improvements as a unit this year.
Before we bring Sean up, describe him as a teammate.
Sean, similar to what I said about Darren, is this guy doesn't have a weakness. You can do anything you want to him in the weight room, on the field. You can't break him. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever met, one of the hardest workers. To see him come from where he did as a walk-on and have the success that he does now, it's one of the best stories in college football is to see him run out of the tunnel and start for the Pitt Panthers every Saturday.
Well, let's switch places now. Let's get Sean up to the podium. Sean Idowu, or Dowu, we'll have you up here for a few minutes. You get equal time. Tell us about Alex.
All right, cool. Great teammate, comes in with the same kind of consistency every day. See him throughout the warm-up, running in front of everybody, and though he's one of the biggest guys out there, he's still out there running in front of everybody. And you kind of look at him as an example from everyone kind of looks at him for example, you know what I'm saying, as far as like how to carry yourself and how to do things, bring energy to the game. And he brings a lot of juice to the whole team. You know what I'm saying? He's really the guy to look to whenever we need some energy throughout the day. So
go with Dan right here to my left.
Sean, Alex talked about the fact that you went from a walk-on to running out onto the field and being who you are today for this team. Just speak on that story, because there's guys trying to make it and trying to find their place in football and getting recruited and whatnot. And your story of being a walk-on to where you stand today is a special one. So what can you have as a word of advice to them when you tell your story? The
same advice I would give to anybody, walk on or not, is give your everything, every single chance you get. You know what I'm saying? Don't leave anything off to say, oh, what if I did this, what if this, or what if anything else. It should be everything you have every single time you get the opportunity to, because you might not get the opportunity again. You know what I'm saying? Opportunities come and go, and you don't get a lot of them back. So give everything you have every single chance you get. Stay humble and keep your goals in mind at all times, and keep working towards that no matter what level you reach at any point. Always have a goal and always work towards it, and you'll be fine at the end of the day.
You turned 22 this week. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Do you feel 22?
No. I still feel 17.
Got it. That was going to be my follow-up question. What year do you feel like? Questions for Sean in the room? If not, we'll ask about what that win versus Miami did for the program. And I don't think I mean that for this season. What stamp do you think that placed on it for what is Pitt football?
That really shows everyone, and more importantly ourselves, what we're capable of. The things being said, the belief that we have in each other, the belief that we have to win games before games, all the faith that we have was proved really in that game at the end of the season to give guys a lot of confidence coming into this next season. And for this next season, that kind of play is where we need to start and kind of carry throughout the whole season and improve on throughout the whole season. We can still get better from there. We're capable of great things, I think, as a team. And with our growth that we're going to have, we're going to be capable of even more. You know, so I really believe in my teammates, and I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? That game really proved it. Everyone's seen it. So we just need to do the same thing and then more after that.
Questions for Sean? We'll go right here to Bob Holliday, which is to my left in the second row.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com, Sean. You lost, in Whitehead and Maddox, two of the better defensive players in Pitt history, and yet, as you look around, you see so many familiar faces. So give us a contrast. You know, two great players that you have to replace, but so many returning starters.
Yeah, it's kind of like a needle having a weight on it. You know what I'm saying? With that one needle, it's a lot of weight to carry on. When you have a bigger surface area, you have a lot more needles and things like that to stand on per se. A lot of that pressure is distributed. You know what I'm saying? You have guys being able to do their job at different levels all throughout the field. We're able to make plays wherever we can now. We have a lot of knowledge coming back. Though we've lost those very good players, we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill, a lot of talent coming back, and improved talent and growth coming back to the same team. And I think we can do a lot with that. So.
Put you on the spot. Can you describe your head coach using just one word?
Passionate.
That didn't take long. Why passionate?
You hear it, you feel it in his words. He means what he says. You see it every day. He's consistent with the energy that he brings. He's consistent with the things that he says. He's consistent with what he cares about, and he cares very much for his players, his team, and the game of football. He cares about winning, and you just see that. You can feel it in his words, you know. So that's just a big thing of it, and you have confidence in the kind of person he is. He has not let us down really in anything that he said he was going to do, and that builds trust. That builds a bond with the whole team, and you just see that throughout, and it really improves everything for the whole team in general. So.
Anything else for Sean? Yes, sir. Right here to my left.
I want to ask you about Rashad Weaver. Seems like a guy that can maybe have a breakout season this year. Can you maybe just tell me a little bit about him?
Yeah, really focused player. A lot of guys. I mean, we have a lot of good DNs. He had a really good season last year. Improved, pretty focused, working on his technique and every little thing that he could possibly tweak to get better. And I think he's going to do more. I think a lot of our DNs in general have improved a lot over the years, and there's a lot of depth at that position, especially on the D-line, especially on the defense in general. There's a lot of depth, not a lot of drop-off, which is a great thing to see for that defense. And, you know, he's one of the guys. We also have other guys as well that are going to do a lot of great things this year, and I'm really looking forward to what the defense is going to look like this season.
Anything else for Sean? Gentlemen, thanks a lot. We'll excuse our student athletes, and we'll bring Coach up to the podium. Fellas, well done. Folks, same routine.
Sean, I must owe Sean some money for that, those kind comments.
Folks, we'll ask questions around the room. Coach, we'll start right here immediately to my left with Dan.
Well, Coach, you've heard what the team thinks of you this morning. Well, here this afternoon a little bit there with what Sean had to say. What do you think about this team and going into year number 4 at Pitt? What have you seen from them? They've described you as passionate and consistent. How would you describe them?
You know, I would give the same description. I would say, you know, our football team right now is confident. They're passionate about what they're doing, and they're working hard. You know, this is a long process. You know, some guys think, okay, camp starts. Hey, when do they report? You know, August 2nd. This thing's been going on for a long time since the Miami game. There's been a process that we've gone through to get to where we are today and where we'll be when they report to camp on August 2nd. So these guys work their tails off. There's no break academically, athletically. They're in summer school, getting A's and B's. They're in the weight room every morning, 5 days a week. Got a barbecue at my house on Friday. I mean, it's just constantly something. We've got a great chemistry right now, and that's kind of how I feel. And there's still a lot of work to do before where we're going. But we got a passionate football team that I love, and it's a joy to come to work every day.
Coach, to your left in the front row.
Lisa Chung from theskyboat.com. As this is your 4th season coaching at Pitt, what things have you learned from past seasons that's going to help you this season?
Well, I think when you think about past seasons and, you know, in past games, I think the one thing you do learn every year is who you're playing You learn about the ACC conference, the talent in this conference, the coaches in this conference, whether it's an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams. You find out what they like. 2 years ago, it seemed like the whole division was brand new, and you didn't know what you were going to get out of Fuente or Bronco Mendenhall. You know, there's some consistency. There's not been a lot of coaching changes, which is nice. It's nice when you can have a 2 or 3 game summer scouting report on someone, when you can really say, hey, what do these guys like against us? Who are they as personnel-wise? I mean, you start to learn, you know, a little bit more about your opponents. Those are the biggest things I think you learn as a football coach this time of year.
Over my left shoulder here.
Hey, Coach. This is kind of a two-part question about Kenny Pickett. One, last season, were you kind of hoping to redshirt him before Max Brown got hurt? And two, is it now a little bit of a blessing in disguise that he got the action he got last season?
Yes and yes. Is that easy? You know, Kenny Pickett, you know, obviously discussion. We wanted to redshirt that guy. We knew he was talented. We had brought in a transfer in Max Brown from USC who we thought had talent. Started off a little slow, had a great game against Rice, was having a great game at Syracuse when he dislocated his shoulder. I told the story earlier today. You know, I come out on the field and, you know, poor Max is laying on the ground with that shoulder dislocated, screaming, whining. You know, kid was really hurt. Felt awful for him. As I'm looking down at him, I'm going, you know, Kenny's going to have to play. Kenny's got to play. And we put him in that game. So there was no, let me think about this for a week and see if we knew he was talented. We thought we could, you know, skate through the year without having to use him. We felt like, you know, we had a decent backup and a guy that could, you know, win games for us based on everything he did in practice. So we wanted to redshirt him, couldn't. It's a blessing in disguise because we were able to slowly bring him out without breaking his confidence and throwing him out there to the Wolves early, which we could have done, and we could have a crappy quarterback right now going into 2018. But we did it the right way, the slow way, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of fans would like to have thrown him out there early, but who knows what would have happened. But we slowly developed him, and he was down reading off of cards for 4 weeks. I mean, he was a scout team quarterback and a darn good one. But, you know, we're happy where he is right now. He only played in 4 games, so if that redshirt rule, the 4-game redshirt rule is retroactive, he's really a true freshman right now. And if I had a good lawyer, I'd probably say he's got 4 more years to go, which would be really nice.
Coach, first row to your left all the way at the end.
Hi, Coach. Tom Shanahan. This is for the Detroit Free Press. Similar to you, Harlan Barnett left Michigan State, job and a boss he liked. Talk about that thought process and then that first year of taking on a new challenge.
Yeah. You know, Harlan Barnett is a tremendous football coach, person, and a guy that, you know, is like a brother to me. We worked together for 11 years. You know, I probably spent more time in a staff room with Harlan than I did my own brothers, you know, growing up. So Harlan's a great friend. He's a great football coach. Florida State's got a good one. You know, in a couple of years, we're going to have to go down and face them as well. But he's going to be a tremendous coach. He'll have no problem transitioning. I think the kids will play their tails off for him because he's real. What you see is what you get out of Harlan Barnett.
Coach, back to your right, second row with Bob.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Coach, over the past couple of seasons, your defense has given up more yards and points at times that I'm sure you're comfortable with. You have so many players coming back from that unit last year. What are you challenging them to improve on this year?
Well, obviously, you can't give up the big play. And, you know, when you look at a defense, you know, you want to be stingy. You'd like to stop the run and stop the pass and stop it all. You know, realistically, in the offenses we're facing today, it's not happening a bunch. But, you know, I think as you recruit to the talent you need on your football team, that you eventually will get better. We made some major strides, I think, last year. I think we probably got as far as we could do with our coordinator there at the time. Josh Conklin did a heck of a job while he was there. He took a head job, and I really think we upgraded in hire of Randy Bates. I really do, and that's no disrespect to Josh. It's just a different guy that brings some different ideas and a different way of doing things with a ton of energy. So I'm excited about where we are as a coordinator. I'm excited about the players we have. I mean, a year ago, last June, I walked out on the field. You know, we get about 30 minutes a day to work with them. I should say 30 minutes every other day, 2 days a week we'd work with them. And I looked at a linebacker core, and Sean was one of them, and I'm going, God, that's all we got. Almost a little scary. But now, you know, I walk out there this June, I'm going, whoa. You know, there's a lot of guys there that can play for us, which they couldn't play for us a year ago. So it's another year of development, and that's our job is, you know, we can't draft them, you know. It's a little easier, I think, in the NFL. It's not easier to win, but it's easier when you can say, hey, I want that guy. I want to pick that guy. I don't care if it's the first pick in the draft or the 24th pick, but you're recruiting them, and you got to develop them. And they're young men, and they give it everything they've got, and that's the fun of coaching. If we all had great players, what fun would it be to coach? But that's part of the development part that I enjoy, especially at Pitt.
Right here at the aisle.
Tony DeFazio, Pittsburgh Sports Report coach. Can you talk about the development of the defensive line as a unit since you arrived at Pitt in terms of, is this what you want it to look like in terms of athleticism, skill set, et cetera? Yeah, Tony, it really is. I mean, when you walk in, to our practice facility this fall, this August, you're going to see a group that we've worked awful hard, number one, recruiting them and getting them on campus, and then Charlie Partridge, our defensive line coach, has done a great job developing them. And when I say develop, I'm talking about developing in the classroom, okay, and on the field, because they go together. If you're not doing your job in the classroom and you can't be dependent on going to class or turning your work in on time, then you're probably not going to be very dependable when you get on the field. So, each one of our coaches deal with our players individually, but Charlie Partridge, who couldn't be a better guy, not only is our D-line coach, but our assistant head coach. He develops those guys, and, like Alex talked up front, it starts up front with your O-line and your defensive line. Those two, if you don't have them, I know Alex Bookser put all those sacks on the O-line. I'll correct him. There's a lot of things that go with sacks. Number one is a quarterback that can get out of his way and not just run into a guy and take a sack. So I want to, change what Book said, as a young guy. And he took it all on him, which is what you want your kids to take ownership of those 31 sacks. I didn't even know we had 31 sacks, but those are a lot of ones that we kind of gave away and didn't know where to go with the ball. So hope that answers your question.
Back here to Dan.
Coach, you just spoke a couple minutes ago about Randy Bates being the defensive coordinator moving forward. What do you like about the way that he approaches the game, just what you've seen from him and what he's brought to the table already?
First of all, Randy is, a guy that I've known for a long time. I love his passion about the game. I mean, there's some people that will study it and do whatever they can do to be better. And he's one of those guys that's going to go to every extent, watching videotape, watching that tape again, watching this cut up or that cut up. I can just tell through all my years at Michigan State, we were always in constant communication. I'd say every other week about common opponents. Just, hey, what'd you think? What'd you think of their O-line? Hey, what do you think of the tight end? How fast is he? Although just sharing those things. That was a guy just like me. So there was one guy, if I had to say in the Big Ten for 8 years that I always was calling, was him. And he was doing the same thing, call me to get information. And that's kind of, to me, that shows you he's got a passion for what he does. So we're very similar as far as our styles of defense. And he's got, like I said, it's a different type of passion and energy we have on the field right now. And I think it's all about that. I mean, we can have a bunch of fast guys, strong guys, athletic guys, smart guys, but if you don't play with passion, you don't play with a lot of energy, it doesn't matter. And Randy can bring that out of each kid.
Coach, last year, Sean had 11.5 tackle for losses. What is it about your style of defense that allows a young man like that to succeed to that level?
I think it's an aggressive and attack-style defense. And we're attacking. We're not sitting back, and we could give up less passing yards, but we're trying to be a dominant defense. That's how you win championships with defense. You don't win championships being average. So we want to be an attack style. And when you can put people behind the sticks, whether it's a third and long or second down and long, so we're going to be an aggressive. If you talk to anybody in the conference about what we do, how we do it, I mean, it's an aggressive style defense where we're coming at you. We're not going to sit there and just defend you. We're going to attack you and make you defend us.
So taking a deep breath, we asked Sean to describe you in one word. How would you describe you in one word?
That's hard. My wife could give me a lot of great praise. God, one word. I would say just work, really. I mean, we're going to work to get what we need to get. Whether it's in recruiting, in the office, on the game, man, it's just going to be put the work in, and you'll get something back for it.
I appreciate you working with me on that question. We've got a question with Bob Holliday, and we'll start wrapping up our time with Pitt.
Last year was not a terrific year for the Coastal vis-a-vis the Atlantic. Obviously, the Atlantic had a number of extraordinarily high-ranked teams. Was that a one-year trend? Listening to all the coaches this morning, everybody feels like it's going to be a really strong year.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys that make that decision are probably sitting in your chairs right there. I don't worry about where anybody else is. I worry about Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh, what our kids are doing, how we're doing things, and we want to be that best team in the country. We want to be ACC champions. We want to be in the playoffs. That's all I'm worried about. I can't control what everybody else does. We want to try to make everybody else look bad and make sure Pitt's at the top of the Coastal.
We'll get your last question right here, third row.
Coach, Pitt's had 2 of the real marquee wins in this league last 2 years, go down to Clemson and win, and obviously Miami last year. How can those games, or can they, be springboards into this season?
You know, I think anytime you can beat 2 of the best teams in the conference in back-to-back years, it lets our kids know that, hey, if you pay attention to details, you can do it every week. You have to have focus. You got to have leadership. And, you know, they don't let, Coach Bates or Coach Narduzzi or Coach Watson, our offensive coordinator, go out on the field and get in the huddle. You guys are going to take that game over on the field, and you have to do it every down. And I think our kids realize that. You grow up, you got a different chemistry of your kids. And I listened to our kids talk today in different settings around the Westin today, and just listen to how they are regurgitating the information we're throwing. They're buying in, believing in what we're talking about, and that's how you win football games. But we've got 18 seniors this year. We had a very, very small senior class last year. I think we've got great leadership from the top down. We're developing our young leaders as well as from our seniors down to our freshmen, and that's the encouraging thing about it.
Coach, good luck this season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hail to Pitt.
Thank you, folks. Virginia Tech due into